Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the Palmetto State Armory Dagger. Now this video has been in the works for a few months. My cousin and I, we've been out here shooting this thing on multiple occasions, getting some footage, testing it, and seeing how it's been performing. And so far it's been pretty good. So this is not my pistol, this is my cousin's pistol. So why did you choose to buy this PSA Dagger when you already have a Glock 19?
So you know those daily deals that Palmetto State Armory will like bombard you with in your email, and you get them like 10 times a day, and they're always great deals. So I found the lower on there for $49.99, or receiver, whatever it is, frame rather. But
there you go.
And yeah, I'm gonna get it eventually. But yeah, I found that on there for $49.99. I knew the original it's like $10 off or whatever. So I was like, yeah, it's a pretty good deal. And then I added on the slide later. I think the slide was like $199. I was just going for kind of a cheap build because I'd heard that I'd heard mixed reviews on them, and I kind of wanted to see what they were like myself. So I built this, even though I already have like concealed carry option, have Glocks and stuff like that. Just wanted to see what PSA was doing with their Dagger. Yeah.
So yeah, I also sign up for the daily deals, and they have these things. Well, first off, I don't know how Palmetto State Armory, PSA for short, keeps up with all of their different slides, because they have about 3,000 different combinations of slides and frames combos. You can have any color under the rainbow, it seems like, and any type of slide work, slide milling, serrations, threaded barrel, non-threaded barrel. And they even have different optic cuts, like this RMR cut, which fits this hollow sun. And they also have a doctor cut, which, tell them about the first time you ordered a slide.
Instead of getting the RMR cut, I actually got the doctor cut the first time because I had the RMR cut slide saved in like a bookmark, and I was like, well, I'm gonna see what other deals they have. So I backed out of that page and went back, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll stick with that one. And I ended up accidentally picking the doctor one, so I still have a doctor slide with no frame to it. But then I got the RMR because I already had the dot for it, so yeah.
Yeah, so I don't even know of anybody who has a doctor red dot optic, so you know, I don't know why Palmetto State Armory has the doctor side. I guess there's about 10 or 12 people out there who want them, and that's fine, more power to you. But it's just kind of funny because we know somebody that works at Palmetto State Armory, and he said that they have more than you would think, the amount of people that will purchase a doctor cut slide and have to either return it or cancel their order. So that's just kind of funny. But yeah, so this thing, how many rounds would you say you have? Close to 500 probably?
Probably a little over 500 now.
A little over 500?
Yeah.
And
we've had no issues with it. All
the times that I've been shooting with you, it's performed pretty well. So, when you're comparing this pistol to a Glock, the Glock is high up there on the reliability scale. So, having a pistol that even comes pretty close to it is a pretty good thing. Now, 500 rounds in the grand scheme of things is not a whole lot of rounds, through a pistol. So, when we get to 5,000, we'll definitely make an update video. But so far, 500 rounds is done pretty well. And for most pistols, if they're going to have any issues, they're going to have them, at least in my experience, they're going to have them early on. If there's a weakness in one of the springs or the pieces or something like that, it's going to only take so much, and then it's going to start failing. So, if it's made it this far, it's probably got a good shot.
Yeah, and 500 rounds, that's well past like any kind of break-in period. So usually you'll see some manufacturers will advertise like a 200 round break-in period. Like you might have issues up to that 200 rounds or whatever. We didn't have that with this. Like we've had zero issues, like no malfunctions or anything. And sometimes you'll read some reviews about some PSA products having some issues, mainly kind of in the AR line and stuff like that. But with this Dagger, like I'd seen some kind of mixed reviews about it, but I don't know, the one I got, maybe I got lucky, but the one I got, it's performed excellent.
Yeah, and just me personally, any pistol that has any type of break-in period, I'm super hesitant on. If you've watched any of our videos, there's no questions that I'm a Glock fan. 99% of my pistols are Glocks. So, again, that's a high standard for reliability. But if you have a pistol that says, it takes 500 rounds to break in my mind, I'm like, wow, so it leaves the factory not ready for the task of self-defense, personal protection, stuff like that. It's just kind of, it doesn't instill confidence.
Also factor in the amount of ammo you'd have to pay for it. So like,
Yeah.
what, you can get a 100 round or like a 200 round box of ammo for what? How much?
Well, in May of 2024, 1,000 rounds is about $260. So,
Okay.
you know, if you have that, $130 just to break in your pistol. So, you know, you buy Kimber, they're one that has a big break-in period. So you buy $1,000 pistol, and then that's 9mm ammo. 45 ammo, 1,000 rounds is like $400. So you have to buy 1,000 rounds of $1,000 pistol. You have to spend at least $200 for 500 rounds of 45 just to get a gun that's supposed to be reliable. So,
They
you
look
know,
pretty though.
debatable. So, you know, that's why I'm a fan of, you pull a Glock out of the case at a gun store, you fill out the paperwork, you take it home, and you can put it in your nightstand and it's ready to go. Which you want to take it to the range and test it and make sure that it's fully functional, but odds are it's going to work. So, yeah, that's a high standard to hold a pistol to, and so far it's been pretty good.
Yeah, also with something like this, like I said, I got the frame on a deal for $49.99. That's $50 for, I mean, technically that's the firearm part of it. That's the serialized part.
Right.
Then add on like the probably $200 you're gonna pay for the slide. That's $250 for a pistol, like for a carry option. That's really good. Like there's not really an excuse to have to wait for a Glock or a SIG, or you're paying like what for a Glock now? It's $550 to $600, like you're 19 or whatever.
Yeah, somewhere in
SIGs
there.
are gonna be probably about that point, maybe a little higher depending on the P365 model you get. But yeah, that's like half the price. So there's really no excuse not to have some kind of carry option or just home defense pistol. Chambered in 9mm, you get 15 rounds out of it. Glock mags, you can find them everywhere.
Easy to add, but you bought this pistol for $50 for the frame, and then the slide was $200.
Yeah, right at 200.
So $250, you add a dot. You're looking
I got
at
the dot for 200.
200.
So that was on a discount too. So that's $450 right there for that entire, just the complete build is $450.
So $450 for this and over 1,000 for this. So, you know, the availability of these pistols to be had by, you know, just your average working day person, you know, people in college or gals in college who are, you know, paying rent, trying to go to school, but they have a part-time job and still want to be able to buy a pistol to protect themselves. This is a really attractive option for people, not only people who are on a budget per se, but just people who want a good pistol and don't want to spend $1,000. You know, not everybody is into guns so much that they want to spend over $1,000 on a Glock. So, you know, that could be a very attractive option for some people who just want something to protect themselves with and don't really care, you know, a whole lot about it.
Yeah, like if you're a college student and obviously you have to be 21 to buy like the actual pistol or the frame for it. But if you're a college student and you don't have that much extra money to spare, like all you have to do is put a little bit away each time, maybe like 15% or 20% of a paycheck, just for a little bit of time, maybe what, probably 2 months?
Yeah,
max.
thereabouts.
You're gonna be able to afford this entire thing in 2 months.
Yeah.
You're gonna be saving up quite a bit longer for a Glock, like a setup like that, especially with the light and all that kind of stuff. You said it's what, 1,000?
Over 1,000, yeah.
Yeah. So even though I have the dot on here, which the dot's not necessary, so you have a complete setup right here for like $250.
Yeah.
So very affordable.
If you take, again, my Glock 19 for over $1,000 and you take the PSA Dagger for $450, you could buy almost 2,000, well, hold up. You could buy, yeah, right at 2,000. I'm trying to do math on the fly.
You could buy a lot of ammo.
You could buy a lot of ammo. Over 2,000 rounds to make up the cost difference between this pistol and that pistol. So, you know, 2,000 rounds, if this is your first pistol, you can do a lot of training and get, you know, fairly decent with 2,000 rounds. If you shoot, you know, once or twice a month, you're gonna be able to really build some skill with pistol shooting. And like, take this for instance, you got $1,000 for the pistol, and then if you want to buy $2,000, you're looking at another $500. So you're $1,500, to get the same thing as you have right here.
And also think about, you're starting off with something like, no offense to PSA, they do awesome work. They're extremely innovative and they like provide a good product for a really good price. Like, I don't know how their margins have to be like that big. Think about, you are starting off on something of lesser quality, like especially with a trigger. It's not going to feel as good as something out of a Glock. So if you're starting off on something lesser and then eventually, say you get like that full-time job or something, you can eventually afford that Glock, you buy a Glock, you're gonna love the Glock that much more than something you started off with. Now, not to say this is a bad gun because it's operated like flawlessly, but there's certain things in here that aren't quite up to par with something that Glock can put out. Like I said, the trigger's not as good. Not that Glock triggers are outstanding, but it's just not as good, so that's another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, Glock triggers, they're kind of love or hate, but they are what they are. So, you know, the PSA trigger, it just feels a little bit mushier than a Glock. So, you know, this Glock 47, when it breaks, it's really crisp. When that thing breaks, it's crisp, but it's not as crisp. But it's still a decent trigger. I wouldn't say it's bad.
You find the wall, and then you suddenly don't have the wall, and then it breaks.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad, but, you know, just consider some of the other options that are out there for $250. You're kind of looking, you're above a high point barely, but you're nowhere near like, you know, Glock, Smith & Wesson, any of the Ruger pistols. So, I mean,
if you had the option between this and the Taurus, get this.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, I would definitely go with that over a Taurus.
The Taurus I had a G2C, and I fired several G3Cs. I had issues with every single one of them. And my first Dagger, I've had no issues with. Like I said, trigger's not that great, but that's something you can get over. Like a good shooter's going to be able to perform with a subpar trigger.
Right. We're going to continue to test it. You know, 500 rounds, like we said, that's not a ton. It's not going to prove that, you know, this Dagger is bomb-proof and it's going to work every time. But, you know, 500 rounds, that's a good starting point. So we're going to continue to shoot this thing. We're going to continue to, you know, carry it, use it, abuse it. Not abuse it, shouldn't say abuse it, but we're not going to baby it. You know, every time we come to the range, we usually bring it just to put some rounds through it, just to, you know, see how it keeps performing and keeps holding up. So we're going to come back when we have probably 2,500, 3,000 rounds on it. We're going to show how it's held up, what it looks like, some of the internal parts, wear, see if it's wearing any different than some of the Glocks that we have, and just keep an update on it. So it's kind of like it's one of your guns that you use, and you have it for home defense, but we're also going to kind of use it as a test bed just to see how it keeps performing and how it holds up in a few years from now. So the PSA Dagger's been out for a few years now, but the latest and greatest pistol from PSA would be their Micro Dagger. So this is a competitor for the Glock 43, 43X, Glock 48 type pistols. It has their proprietary 15-round magazine, which I don't know how proprietary it is since the Shield Arms mag has existed for a while now. But this is their version of the Glock 43X. So one thing that you notice a lot different is this ported end on the thing. I don't know if you call this a muzzle brake. I would just call it a ported barrel, I guess you would say. It's kind of ported slide comp. It's kind of a hybrid between a lot of things. But this is their latest and greatest you know, competitor on the market, and it's pretty cool. This little pistol, it feels good in the hand. My wife has a Glock 43X, and I shoot it quite a bit, and this thing feels pretty good. So these are definitely pretty popular. And one thing that I like about it is PSA is innovating. So, you know, this isn't a Micro Dagger video, but it's just pretty cool to see that, you know, they're adding stuff like this ported barrel or slide that helps, you know, mitigate a little bit of recoil, but you don't see Glock doing any of this. You know, they have their same pistols. They'll come out with a new generation every 12, 15 years, and it has slight changes from the previous generation, which I love Glock, but they're pretty vanilla. So, you know, it's cool to see a company innovate, and even if it is just a ported slide, you know, it's cooler than anything Glock's come out with in a while, in my opinion. And it comes factory with optic cuts. Glock has their MOS system, but you have to have adapter plates, and I like a direct mounted optic. I don't like any plates just because it makes the optic sit higher and you have another point to fail. So, you know, I'm liking what PSA is doing. And what's kind of funny is this thing is way more expensive than that thing, even though it is smaller. And
frame especially, yeah.
The frame is close to 100, and the frame on that one is 50. So just something to keep in mind. But as a company, as a whole, PSA is coming out with some really cool stuff. So, you know, I don't have any PSA guns, but I have some PSA parts, and it makes me feel good to spend my money at a company that is innovating and coming out with cool new stuff. It's refreshing to see when you have the vanilla-ness of Glock and other big legacy firearms manufacturers.
Yeah, innovating, and also the fact that a lot of what they do is dedicated to like a market that is kind of shopping on a budget. So a lot of people that buy their stuff are buying stuff that they're not planning on paying like a ton of money for. Like they're not buying an AR that's like a $1,200 AR or something like that. They're buying something that's more in the $500, $600 price range.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're also bringing that mindset to the pistol market, especially in like Glock clones like this one and like the 43X clone, I guess maybe 48 too.
Yeah.
For the micro dagger is pretty neat.
Yeah, and PSA, they're focused 100% on civilian like market sales and all. They're not worried about government contracts, police contracts and all. So that's pretty cool. Like they're making stuff that the civilians, the end users want and are happy to see. So, you know, like them, hate them, don't like them, kind of like them. PSA is a very, very pivotal and crucial manufacturer and company in the Second Amendment sphere, and you know, I'm glad that we can help support them with our money, and you know, that's the best way to vote is with your wallet. So all in all, PSA, I like the stuff they make, and so far it's been good for us, so I think we'll keep running it.
And to put this out there, I carry a P365 XL, and then like in the bedstand I have a Glock 19. So I don't actually like carry this on the daily, so it's not my everyday carry or something like that. But it is one I wanted to just test out and see how it performs, because I'd seen kind of mixed reviews on it, like I said. So
yeah, and it's always a good idea just to have, you know, if you have one carry pistol, that's good, but you know, you always need to have a backup, just you know, to keep in your house, just for an extra gun. It's always a good idea to have just more than one option. So yeah, sounds good. But that'll do it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them down below. We'll do our best to answer them. And leave a like and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video. But for now, it's doing me just fine. So what I really love about this gun is the trigger. We have a Geisley SSAE super semi-automatic enhanced trigger, and this thing is just excellent. So you have like it's a 2-stage trigger. You have like a 2-pound take up, and then like a one